Basketball fans anywhere, basketball fans everywhere. Appreciate you guys for joining me. Another episode, number 92 now, getting closer to that lucky number 100 that we've been doing this. Of course, we like to call it the best, the most entertaining, the most informational, and the most educational basketball content on the planet in the form of a podcast. Be sure to go and do your part. Yes, you watching. Yes, you go and subscribe anywhere you find your favorite podcast: iTunes, Google Podcasts, Red Circle, Spotify, Stitcher, the whole nine. We stream live on YouTube as well as on Facebook. In addition to Twitch and Periscope. So be sure to go and takes less than 30 seconds unless y'all still got that Obama phone hanging around that y'all should know better than. Takes less than 30 seconds. Just go and subscribe and following on social media platforms at Tate's Take Hoops, TATES, TAKEHOOPS, hashtag, of course, where basketball lives. And of course, I teased it before, and I'm going to get in. One of my guys, man, a guest in, been trying to work on doing this for quite some time to talk about what we saw last night. The Milwaukee Bucks, yes, I guess you figured it out, you guessed it, with a win. Was a 7-point victory, 105-98 victory in Game 6 in the NBA Finals over the Phoenix Suns. So congrats to them on that. And I got a brain that I want to pick apart a little bit and kind of get his thoughts and how he feels on what we just saw, some of the history that took place. And while we do that right now, that would be none other than, there he is, Gerald Brown, the lead host of the Bottom Line Sports Show on Sirius XM NBA Radio. Give him a follow on all social media platforms, particularly on Twitter at Gerald BLSS. That is at GERALD BLSS. Gerald, what's poppin', G?
Deshaun, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Man, I'm outstanding. I do appreciate you for coming on the program and just blessing us and gracing us with your presence. Want to start off talking a little bit about what we've just recently seen less than 24 hours ago, and that's probably going to be the obvious. The Buck won't stop here with Milwaukee having not only a win, a big-time win, one that a lot of people didn't think that they were going to be able to pull out. Yes, me included. I just kind of want to get your overall thoughts on what we saw just from them this season, them in this postseason, the injuries in the Atlanta series to Giannis, a star player, just everything all across the board when it comes to Milwaukee winning a championship.
Well, I think, clearly we got a chance to really understand that, these playoffs have taught us a lot of things about the fact is that in order to win a championship, you got to be lucky along with everything else. They were very, very fortunate throughout the course of this season from, in terms of, look, Boston was never the same. Brooklyn never could get a chance to get on the same page with their big three. And Milwaukee was the most consistent team out of all those that were in the Eastern Conference. And we were able to bear witness to that in the playoffs when you had a situation, obviously when they got rid of Miami, that rectified whatever happened last year and just showed us that it was a fluke. But I think clearly it became a situation where, in the finals and even the conference finals, look, I had said before that I thought Mike Budenholzer was really a coach that was kind of in a situation where it's just not a matter of if, but it was just a question of when he would get fired. And I had heard through different channels and stuff like that this was a job that a lot of coaches were really coveting, simply because the fact is that you had a franchise piece in Giannis Antetokounmpo there, a lot of pieces there in place, and they were ready to win. So you have a situation if Kevin Durant's shoe size was a little bit smaller, you might have a different outcome, and Brooklyn might have been in a situation advancing. Trae Young doesn't get hurt. Atlanta might have pushed the series a little bit more, but through and through, they were able to really, in a situation, get lucky. And things have to break your way, especially for that first championship. I always go back to the Golden State Warriors, that first championship or so, when they didn't face a top-notch point guard throughout that entire run due to injuries, whatever, and then Kyrie Irving gets to the NBA Finals with Cleveland, and he gets hurt. So you got to be lucky, and they made the most of the opportunity. And I think what I walked away with last night was everybody should walk away with is there's a changing of the guard. we once knew this NBA league as LeBron James league, but I think it's safe to say right now this is Giannis Antetokounmpo's league right now, and the torch has been passed, or better yet, he has taken it.
Wow, I think that's certainly speaking some volume, that's for sure. And I'll be really interested to see what some of these other guys have to say about it. You mentioned LeBron, also Kevin Durant, maybe in that conversation all over again. Kawhi Leonard, maybe even the next guy that appears like he's going to be in that same conversation, certainly on the outside looking in with a lot more work to do, is Luka Doncic, who's rapidly moving up in those regards, but clearly, again, has a lot more work to do. I want to get your opinion on what you thought and felt about these two guys coming or prior to being able to accomplish what they just did. Giannis Antetokounmpo and Mike Budenholzer, both of them you just mentioned. I've been the guy that called Mike Budenholzer the Rick Barnes of the NBA. Really good in the regular season, but just postseason doesn't find a way to necessarily get it done. Can't say that anymore. Got to put respect on his name. While I'm not necessarily in love all the time with Giannis, I won, and being able to play through injuries amongst other things and being able to accomplish the feat that he just did. And he's a guy, what do the cool kids say? Got it out the mud or whatever. Like, I call it taking the stairs. He didn't go the elevator route. He didn't go the escalator route. He took the stairs up and did it the hard way and did it his way, as impressive as that is. I want to get your opinion on what you thought about those two guys before they accomplished what they did yesterday, and the respect that maybe people, me included, should put on their name now that they just did what they did in terms of making history.
So we're talking about Giannis and Mike Budenholzer, right? Pretty much. Yeah, well, I think Giannis really, like I said before, I think Giannis is really he is basically supplanted himself as now the guy, whatever has been said. Look, I've been a big critic of Giannis's game, and I had to have an opportunity to put things in perspective. We all witnessed a gentleman score 50 points without really a jump shot, So, I mean, for him to dominate the way he did without with a glaring hole in his game, and that is a perimeter shot, I think that speaks volumes. And like I said before, look, LeBron, it's obviously it's on the other side of the mountain for him, and I mean that in no disrespectful way whatsoever. An unbelievable career, but clearly with Giannis's talent, with Giannis's ability, I mean it's just he's relentless. He is very relentless, and just again what he was able to showcase on that stage, it clearly shows me that look, Kevin Durant and all these other guys, they great players. But I think at the end of the day, we're talking about somebody that's a little bit more special. And look, even when he said in his press conference, which I think was really putting everybody on notice, which is, look, I could have gone to a super team, but this is the way to do it, and this is the right way to do it. And that spoke volumes, and I thought that was so amazing. So get ready for the Giannis Antetokounmpo show, because he's not going anywhere, barring any injuries. This is what we're going to have, a throwback of a guy that's saying, look, you know what? I don't need to go to this place, that place. I can win here. Just give me a guys that's with me, or better yet, draft right. I'm going to stay here and get it done. And as far as Mike Budenholzer, like I said before, you have to be lucky. And he is extremely, extremely lucky. You got to feel good for him because, as I said before, his job was clearly on the line. I mean, there was a lot of reports throughout the course of the season that, he had to not only get to the NBA Finals and maybe win some games and perhaps even come back. But in doing so, you perhaps may have seen a weight off his shoulders. This is a guy that won 60 games in Atlanta and was let go. So, at times, as what we've all been able to do is kind of criticize some of the decisions that he has made and him sticking to his system. I think it just worked out. Once Dario Saric went out for the Phoenix Suns, they were limited in size, and he had the size. And then I thought was really interesting that Mike Budenholzer did was, especially in game 6, utilizing more of Bobby Portis instead of Brook Lopez in those certain matchups down the stretch. And Bobby's energy was infectious, and really, again, he's become now this sort of, cult hero in Milwaukee. But, still in all, luck was clearly on the Milwaukee Bucks side and Mike Budenholzer's side as well.
No, for sure. And you said so many things there with saying some of those things, obviously, noting that, Giannis and he could have gone this way or gone that way and done it this way and done it this way. But he bet on himself and he stayed down. And it's a small market. And a lot of people probably called him all sorts of names, silly and everything else for making that decision. It appears to clearly have paid off. Obviously, bringing over Drew Holiday was really big in their quest to winning a championship. And, they know that if you make a move like that, then you know what you need to do when you do that. And they went ahead and did that. And Chris Middleton coming up out of the mud, had some stints in the G League as well, outside of the Detroit Pistons, and that was really big for them. I'm not sure I'm willing to go as far as calling them a big three necessarily, but I'm not sure that they necessarily have to have that title either. The title that they won is the title that they now have, the Larry O'Brien Trophy, and winning the championship, and I guess that's technically all that does matter. But I want to ask you about this because I have my own personal feelings about this particular question, and I want to be able to answer it first prior to asking you. I definitely think that adding Bobby Portis and PJ Tucker, I think one of the issues that they've had as far as this Milwaukee team is the lack of toughness previous to this year. But when you add two pieces like that, they didn't look as soft as they once were. And of course, adding experience to the rest of the other guys, and then not really doing it with a prototypical, natural, traditional point guard either, I think should also speak some volume because you don't have that Malcolm Brogdon anymore. Tell me what you have kind of seen in terms of what you believe is probably the least talked about factor in their quest to winning this championship that maybe Gerald Brown has been able to see through his lens and with his eyeballs that not really a lot of people either A, saw or B, are talking about.
Well, I think the commitment by Giannis to really avoid, or better yet, settle is the key word for the perimeter shot, trying to prove to all the naysayers that I can shoot perimeter shots. I thought that was interesting also is that Brook Lopez was a guy from the Atlanta Hawks series to even these NBA finals, was really playing like a 7-footer, really cutting to the rim, not really relying so much on staying out there on that perimeter and becoming really perimeter heavy and perimeter dominant. I just think that Milwaukee had the perfect setup. They had the perfect team to match them in regards to, their size, their athleticism. It was one that, again, heavily favored them. So I wouldn't say so much as far as toughness. They used what they had, and Brook Lopez remembered that he was a 7-footer, and Giannis realized, hey, it's easier to score around the basket than opposed from the perimeter. We didn't hear anything about the wall, so he played to his strengths as opposed to his weaknesses. And I thought that he exercised great discipline and staying within his game as opposed to trying to prove something to everybody.
For sure. And what I want to do now, well, first of all, before we jump over to that, I want to make sure that I remind the people what we got going on right now in the locker room. With us right now for episode number 92, Gerald Brown, Bottom Line Sports Show on Sirius XM NBA Radio, channel 86, I believe that is, if I'm not mistaken. Make sure that you give him a follow on Twitter at Gerald BLSS. That is at GERALD BLSS. What I want to dip and dive into now, and this is just going to be really brief because I do appreciate you taking out the time to join us on the program, is it doesn't necessarily have to be kind of like a rapid fire answer type deal. But we do have a particular segment that we do here on the show, and I always invite our guests to called Quick Release, and it is sponsored by Exotics by Curtis Smith. Got to make sure we pay our bills. Good, look good, feel good, play great. Exoticsproducts.com. All 110% naturals, natural products. That is, no chemicals added. Make sure you go to exoticsproducts.com. In that discount code, make sure you put in Tate's Take for your 15% off on all of the products, and give your body and your skin what it deserves when you go to that checkout. When you go to checkout, make sure you put that in. Tate's Take, again, 15% off in the discount code. So I'm going to ask you a series of questions, Gerald, over the course of maybe the next 4 or 5 minutes before we get you out of here. And it's particularly formed for shorter answers, but I will never tell you that you can't elaborate on any of the questions. So here's the first one. Maybe not will this be, because we heard that answer. Should this be? Is it in Chris Paul's best interest to come back? Or if Gerald was in his shoes, would you be getting ready to hang him up? Do you believe that he'll get a championship out of this?
I don't think it's about championship at this stage of his career. I thought it was crazy, this legacy talk. Look, he's a great player. And unfortunately, he's just been on teams that really didn't have the supporting cast strong enough to win a championship. He has $44 million that's on the table. I think the biggest question will be is, A, is he going to opt out? And B, how much is he going to get from the Phoenix Suns moving forward in terms of paying him long term? So I'm Chris Paul. I'm going to get the bag. Cheddar, cheddar, cheddar. That's what I've got on my mind. I'm not retiring at all.
I know that's right. Let me ask you this. Now that Giannis and the Milwaukee Bucks have won a national championship, and I'm just making this up somewhat imaginary in my mind, how long before we see a Nike commercial featuring Giannis Antetokounmpo at the free throw line, with people chanting and counting down and everything else, a beat all odds, if you will, type of commercial? How long before we probably see something like that from Nike?
Well, being that he's that type of guy that, again, it's really all business when it comes down to taking care of business, I wouldn't be surprised if something like that is in the works, because, again, he's a guy that's comes across very humble. I think that he's going to have his selection of different advertisers and things of that nature based upon the fact how he conducts himself and just really speaking about his story, which is unbelievable. So it should happen real soon.
Let me ask you this one right here. Fill in the blank. Let's play a little bit of fill in the blank with Gerald Brown. Don't be surprised if you see blank this offseason. And in regards to the NBA, take it wherever Gerald Brown's mind wants to go. Don't be surprised if we see blank during this offseason. What is that blank for you?
If Damian Lillard stays in Portland, but the general manager, Neil O'Shea, is shown the door.
Really? Okay, that's interesting. I haven't heard that one quite yet before. I'm hearing Lakers and this one and that one in New York and everywhere else, but I haven't heard that one necessarily just yet. Let's go. Let's have a little bit of fun with this one. Giannis pulled up at Chick-fil-A earlier. I think it was today. I don't know if it was last night. It had to be today, not yesterday. Pulls up on Chick-fil-A for a 50-piece nugget. Have you seen this?
I did see it, and first thing I thought was possible advertiser, sponsor. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody paid him. Chick-fil-A paid him for that. So congratulations now. As he said, told the lady he had 150,000 people following, watching. Clearly, he is right now cashing in on winning a championship and an MVP.
Is Gerald Brown a Chick-fil-A guy?
Yeah, but Chick-fil-A is not in my diet anymore.
Because I was sure going to ask you, listen, who has that better Chick-fil-A sandwich? I'm sorry, that better chicken sandwich. What is your go-to sauce for when you go to Chick-fil-A? Okay, what is Gerald Brown's go-to sauce at Chick-fil-A for those nuggets or whatever?
Well, here's the thing. So, my fiance is in Atlanta and live down in there. So I'm pretty much in Atlanta from every chance I get. And we always go to Chick-fil-A, and it's something about the Chick-fil-A in Atlanta. But I think it's the original sauce or something like that, because she put me onto it. And I was like, man, this is great, man. This is so much better. But I think it's the original one. I actually bought some in a bottle at a grocery store down there. So I was like, oh, my God.
Okay, so it's probably the Chick-fil-A
Yes, the
sauce.
Chick-fil-A
Chick-fil-A
sauce.
sauce. Now, let me throw one at you, a curveball at you. While that is very good, and I definitely concur with you on that. Let go. I think it's called honey roasted barbecue sauce. Next time you
Wow.
get some nuggets or a sandwich, nobody ever gets this. I think it's particularly made for something else. I don't know if it's salad or whatever else. Try a little bit of that on your chicken nuggets. Honey roasted barbecue sauce, and you're gonna love that. So I have. What do you do? Do you do the lemonade sweet tea? You do the sweet tea lemonade mix? Arnold Palmer. What do you do? What are you drinking
I
on
do
Chick-fil-A,
the
by
I
the way?
do the sweet tea. I'm hip to that, but I just tried the new kale salad. It's the kale salad. Oh, it's amazing. Lemon kale salad.
Yeah.
It's amazing. You got to get Chick-fil-A to be a sponsor, man.
There we go. I had people calling in like, man, I can't believe you, Tate. You gonna try and say, bro, calm down, calm. There we go. I don't think that my boy can believe that I'm saying this right now. Not only that, but I don't think he knows that I'm doing this podcast from my phone while he's just chiming in and trying to get a hold of me. With that being said, I haven't tried the lemon kale Caesar. I haven't tried the lemon kale Caesar just yet. Thin brother like me gotta have some real food. I can't do rabbit food right now. Let me just put it to you that way. Moving forward, let me ask you. Let's get a couple of these other ones out of here. Oh, my dude, Iron Mike Dyson. Mike Dyson told me to tell you hello. Make sure that I told Gerald hello. One of the homies that's closest to my heart. Not very many closer to him. So he told me to tell you hello, but he informed me of something. He says that you're a Knicks dude. How true is this?
Mike Dyson, great brother, man. And I've really just been in a situation where I got to get a better handle on reaching out to people. Obviously with the pandemic, so many different things was going on this year, but definitely got to reach out to them. So I am proud to say I am a Knicks fan through and through. I used to work for the Knicks as a ball boy growing up. Great friends of mine, definitely still friendships that are made back then from Patrick Ewing and Charles Oakley and Mark Jackson. So the list goes on and on. Those guys are like my brothers, and those were some great times. Although I still root for the Knicks, but I'm rooting even furthermore that James Dolan and Charles Oakley can rectify that situation and bring him back to his proper place and be acknowledged as one of the all-time great Knicks.
Now, I'm not sure how much college basketball you pay attention to. So I want to preface it first by saying that I don't want to put you on the spot. Okay. But this is what I do want to say. In the event that you know a guy, feel free. If not, just let me know the positions you think that they would need to fill. Commissioner Brown on the hot seat with the 19th in the 2021 NBA draft. The New York Knicks select who are those two players that you would like to see them go and get. And if you're not positive of exactly those names, what positions would you like for them to go and fill?
Well, I'm a sports guy, and again, through and through, diehard Louisville Cardinal fan. But we don't have anybody that's really up there. The young man, Scotty Barnes, I think that's out of Florida State. I'm really big on him. Big guy. I don't know if he's going to really transition and convert to a true point guard in the NBA, but I think the key thing is with him and the great job and the program that's Leonard Hamilton, has established down there, and really just seeing one of his former players play so exceptionally well with the Clippers. I like Scotty Barnes with that 19th pick, if he's going to be available. And then, the 21st pick might be a little too high, but I saw a young man last season, Charles Bassey out of Western Kentucky, strong, physical, type of guy. I think those guys are at a premium, especially if he checks all the boxes in terms of his size, if he's a guy that can really provide somewhat of a little sense of offense, because I do believe that, with the development of Joel Embiid, yes, Nikola Jokic has done unbelievably well, but I think that the NBA, some way, somehow, is coming full circle, and big men are coming back into style. So it would definitely be Scotty Barnes, and it would be Charles Bassey. I would go out on a limb and say Charles Bassey, the young man out of Western Kentucky, very, very strong physical guy.
Yeah, for sure. Especially if he could stay healthy, I think that that's somewhat ideal. And if you get him that late, he could be a steal. Potentially, could have been looking at if it wasn't for some of those injuries, being drafted a lot higher in some previous NBA draft boards and things like that. Let's go with this one, and I'm asking this one for a reason. Obviously, you can see on my hat the way that I roll and how I run. I'm curious to know if this is just a foregone conclusion at this point. With the number one pick in the 2021 NBA draft, the Detroit Pistons select whom? Are they pick? Most people are going to say, "Oh, that's Cade Cunningham." If your answer is Cade Cunningham, do you think that there's any possible way that it could be anybody else?
Only if Damian Lillard is available to the Pistons and a package deal that perhaps brings back Cade Cunningham. I think that if they were making a deal for someone of significant substance that could help that team, immediately, and then also help them down the line continue with the growth, I think that would be the case. But listen, Detroit is clearly in a rebuild mode. I like a lot of the draft picks the Pistons have made in recent time with Sadiq Bey and bringing in, Killian Hayes had a struggle this year as far as staying healthy. But you can't trade that number one pick unless it's somebody of real substance that could be able to change the fortunes of your franchise immediately. It's Cade Cunningham.
Tell me if I'm crazy for this one, Gerald, because listen, I'm all for team light skin. I have no bias, man. Both of these guys light skin, so that's just the way that we're gonna roll with it on this one. Okay. I've been the one that's been saying I don't think that the gap or the margin is nearly that wide between Cade Cunningham. Not saying he's not going to be a really good player, because I'm a believer that he will be a really good player. Great or special, I'm not sure that I see that in him nor in anybody else. Am I crazy for thinking the Pistons should at least entertain the idea of Jalen Suggs and not Cade Cunningham?
No, I think that clearly no. Listen, that's not a far-fetched reach. I think Jalen Suggs is going to be an exceptional player. But I think clearly you have to lean towards perhaps Cunningham simply because the fact is of his size. I don't really try to get caught up in terms of, the conferences and stuff like that, but the style of play. And I don't know if this will hurt Jalen Suggs because, you have Adam Morrison and you have all these other players that have come out of Gonzaga that, is it a product of the fact that the matter is they just have much better talent in their conference than others. But I would lean towards heavily Cade Cunningham simply because the fact is, I believe he's about 6'7". He can play that point guard position, but also a nice perimeter defender. So I would definitely look for Cunningham. And I think he fits in, what Dwayne Casey would want to do and what they're building there in Detroit, which is a physical, grinded out type of team that, again, will represent the city of Detroit very proudly.
Second to last question here. Now, I don't know if this one is really going to surprise you very much. Give me your best Rick Mahorn story that can be shared on the air, of course. We're just going to keep everything clean. Give me your best Rick Mahorn story of you guys, maybe that you guys have spent some time and, obviously have hung around and spent some time together for quite some time, being on the show together. Give me your best Rick Mahorn story that can be shared on air.
Rick Mahorn ate two whole chickens when we went out to a dinner. No, I'm just kidding. Rick is a guy I remember as a ball boy. Rick Mahorn, and I believe it was Darryl Dawkins, rest in peace, they had me going from locker room to locker room and carrying jokes. And these guys were really, and I was delivering these jokes and stuff. I didn't realize how funny and humorous Rick Mahorn is. And yeah, he was just going back and forth. But Rick is a no nonsense guy on the court, but really, really such a smart, intelligent basketball player. And his IQ is exceptionally well. And I often think that guys like him, along with Charles Oakley, they're sort of the perception is not always the reality, that you just think these guys are just some, big Uggs and stuff like that. But they were very, very high basketball IQ. So that would be my story, is always remember him. Always had a joke to tell and go back and forth. And we'll get on air sometime, and sometimes we just have to get, right back at it and take a second, because we'll go back and forth, just what we call snapping on one another. And it's hilarious.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. Last question for you is, I probably was gonna get you up out of here, man. Team USA dominated Spain last time we seen them out, 83-67. Up next, obviously France coming up. Iran to follow. 2 or 3 days 3 days later, and then a to be determined. Followed by when first week of August is when the medal games will take place. Where do you predict that they will finish in Tokyo? What's missing? What is the reason behind why we've seen what we have seen from this team, and just what are your overall thoughts on Team USA and how they will fare in these Olympics?
I think it's very difficult, and I think that this team will probably finish somewhere. Look, if they get a goal, that will be a story within itself. But I think this is a team that probably will medal somewhere, either silver or bronze. And it's just a team that, again, you're talking about the current players that are there, perhaps having to be in a bubble. We're in the thralls in the midst of still dealing with a pandemic. And, for these players to be in Tokyo and now have to, some of those that were in a bubble in Orlando now have to go back into bubble, and just the precautions. So it's so many different extenuating circumstances that are in place that would be very hard pressed for this team to really solely focus on basketball. And then, guys really testing positive and all that stuff. I mean, just think about it. They went down there with 8 guys. Zach LaVine was cleared. So now they have 9 or so. But I think that they will finish somewhere, perhaps maybe a bronze. And it's just unfortunate because, again, the extenuating circumstances dealing with a pandemic has been something that weighs heavily on a lot of people's mind, more so than the Olympics.
Gerald Brown, lead host. Make sure y'all go and check this dude out, man. He's the real deal, man. You guys will have a ton of fun and just being educated and listening to him and Mahorn go at it. I do it just about almost every day. Lead host of the Bottom Line Sports Show on Sirius XM NBA Radio, Channel 86. Give him a follow on all social media platforms, particularly on Twitter at Gerald BLSS, at Gerald BLSS. We ran it over a little bit than the time that was expected, but I do appreciate you for extending it. And definitely shout out to somebody that helped kind of put this together between the two sisters of Renee and Willa Cooper. I want to make sure I give them some credit as well. Overly thankful and grateful, appreciative of them for doing that, and for you joining me here on the program, Gerald. I'm really thankful for it.
Hey, Deshaun, my pleasure. Anytime, man. Definitely. And look, love to have you on Sirius XM. Definitely. I know you're talking that, got the Pistons and Michigan State stuff there behind. But listen, man, always an opportunity. Definitely love to have you on, and really appreciate the time, and definitely keep doing it, man. And if there's anything I can do, just give me a shout.
I most certainly will. I do appreciate that. Thank you very much. And there goes my dude. And of course, we're always thankful and grateful that he's able to join us here on the program. Again, Gerald Brown at Gerald BLSS, at Gerald BLSS. Thankful for him to come on and grace us with his presence and some of his knowledge and whatnot. And I'm serious. Go and check this brother out, man. He's the real deal. He's on top of it when it comes to this NBA stuff, and certainly a very intellectual guy, and knows his way around 94 feet by 50 feet wide. That's gonna do it for us. We got some live period, still last weekend of the live period that's gonna be coming up this upcoming weekend. Gonna have some different interviews, talk a little bit about Peach Jam, Nike EYBL, talk a little bit about some of these Under Armour showcases, the Adidas, as well as on the Radar showcase as well. And if you missed it, make sure that you go backwards just a little bit by one or two steps. On the high school tip, we had the opportunity to bring on Joe Hillsman, who's very well known, especially around the ranks of high school basketball, particularly in the state of Georgia. Kyle Sandy was another one. We got some people that's going to be coming up later on this week. I think we're going to get Kate Constable on so we can get some Kate's take, meet Tate's take, get that stuff in there and have a little bit of fun with that. And Kristen Peak, who's out there at the Peach Jam, who's all in and very educational, very knowledgeable about basketball and what's happening on the AAU circuit, grassroots level as well. Appreciate everybody for joining, man. Again, make sure you tell your mama, tell your grandmama, tell your baby mama where to find the best, the most entertaining, the most informational, and the most educational basketball content on the planet in the form of a podcast. And I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a secret on what I'm going to be doing here really, really soon within the next, I don't know, less than 2 weeks or so now. I think we're looking. I'm not counting down the dates because I'm not really looking forward to getting another year older. But one of the things people are always saying, what do you want for your birthday? What your birthday's coming up? What? Very, very simple for me. So you can get ahead of it right now by doing just this. Only thing I want for my birthday, 37, coming up on Monday, the 2nd of August. Whoever has not subscribed on YouTube or wherever you find your favorite podcast, go and subscribe. It's the only thing I'm asking for. It's something free, it's quick, it's simple. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't wait until you're scrolling through on social media and you're like, oh, Deshaun's live on social media right now. I don't ever get a chance to catch him. If you want that, you get reminders set, the whole nine. Just go and subscribe. Every time we go live, you're guaranteed to get a notification to your phone saying that we're going live. That's all I want. That's all I want. Just give your boy a little something special for his birthday by going and subscribing if you haven't done so already, and share along with a friend. Something very simple. Don't save it for the local barber shop. Don't save it for the local sports bar. We talk about it right here on this platform and always got really amazing guests. Feel free to I could put it down there at the ticker, but I'll wait until next time. If you love hearing entertaining guests, and this stuff isn't always the cheapest thing in the world to keep you guys educated with what's going on. Of course, no pressure, but throw something in your boy's cash app, man. You got the little dollar sign, Tate's Take, dollar sign TATESTAKE, in order to keep this thing rolling and bring you guys really good content. It costs, so I wouldn't be complaining too much if you threw five, if you had five on it. So appreciate everybody for coming in and joining. And again to my dude, man, Gerald Brown, for joining from Sirius XM NBA Radio, and got the drive coming up. We're gonna be touching base and getting a little bit more in depth with some of that stuff as well. Until next time, I'll see you guys then. Bye.